Good morning, friends at YouTube. I'm Wayne, and I'm an alcoholic. Today's daily reflection for January 11th, 2021, the 100% step. Let's go. All right, so here we go. I was homeless. I was a combat vet. I've seen combat. I've seen death. I've seen everything that there is to see within my lifetime. I've known junkies. My dad was an alcoholic, and on and on and on and on and on. Where does this all go? So I picked up alcoholism early along my way, and I started getting out of control way before I even knew it was possible. In regards to today's daily reflection, which I'll get to in a minute, imagine this. Imagine being homeless out in the woods, having nowhere to go. It's cold, it's rainy, it's winter, and you have a tent that is white and yellow. Everyone can see through the woods in Baltimore, Maryland. You have nothing to eat, nothing in your stomach, no relationship. Everything is gone. But the one thing that you want is a drink. How is it possible, with everything in such chaos and everything so uncertain, that the only thing I'm concerned with is getting a drink? Well, I'm an alcoholic. What I did learn is that I was powerless over alcohol, and I had known that for a long time, since the very first time that I drank in the first place. When I started out in the regular world, I drank like nobody's business. I wanted alcohol for every single purpose in my life. The one time that I can remember that I knew that my life was completely unmanageable is when my wife walked out, my son left, and the only thing I could imagine was getting that drink. Let me give you the backstory. So, there I was, sitting in my apartment on a vacation, getting drunk out of my mind day by day. I started my morning with a drink, and I ended my day with a drink, regardless of what time that was, because it only took me passing out for that to happen. And I got a call that said, "Hey, we're at the gate. You need to come sign us in." And I was like, "Who is this?" It was my wife. She had already been gone for a couple months, and now she was coming over to pay me a visit just to bring my son over so that we could spend a little time together. I had just gotten back from a nightclub, and I was still drunk. And she asked me, she said, "Have you been drinking?" No. Why would I be drinking? It's 5 a.m. So she says, "Okay, fine. You need to come sign us in." I didn't have a car because I had already crashed 2 of them, and now I had to walk down to the gate in order to sign them in and walk them back. That's pretty classy, isn't it? Once we got back to my room, it was disgusting. My wife had to use the bathroom. She went in and she was just mortified of how it looked in the first place, and she didn't even go to the bathroom. She came out and told me how ratty I was and how dirty I was, and that this place looked like it hadn't been touched in months. She was right, because I was an alcoholic, I was drinking, and I didn't have time to clean because that would cut into my drinking time. Well, I turned away, I was watching TV, and my son started counting out loud, and I caught him at 20. And he continued to count 21, 22, 23, and by the time he got to 100, I realized what he was counting. He had gotten on into my wall locker, and he was counting the bottles of beer and the cases that were along with it. They were all empty because I'd already drank them for that last couple days, and now he found my stash. Well, instead of saying that I'm sorry for the way it looks and I'm sorry for the condition that it is, I straight up told my wife, I said, "Why are you even here? I didn't ask you to come here." This is my alcoholic brain talking, because my drinking time is interrupted and I need to get drunk right now before my withdrawal starts to set in. I've already broken out in this cold sweats. I've already become anxious and I've already become angry. So she looks at me with this look on her face like, "What?" And so I said again, "Who asked you to come here? I didn't ask you to come here." And she said, "Fine, we'll leave." So she called her parents, who were a little bit of ways. I think they were having breakfast because they had just drove from Munich. And so her parents came, she left, and guess what, folks? I didn't see her for about another 2 years. Was my life unmanageable at the time? You're daggone right it was. Did I stop drinking? Nope. I reached for the backpack that I had full of beer hidden under my bed because I knew that she was coming in, and I started drinking again. And I didn't care because nobody was there to tell me how to drink. Nobody was there to tell me that I was all jacked up, and nobody was going to stop me from what I was doing. I had to satisfy that alcoholic need that I had, and it didn't matter who I stepped on in order to get there. My life was unmanageable. That went on for another 2 years, and it was the day that I walked into Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you're not an AA-er, this still kind of applies because you might be able to understand where I'm coming from. When I walked in there and I saw the people telling their stories in those rooms, and they were all kind of common and they were all kind of resonating with me, it occurred to me that yes, I already know that I have a problem with alcohol. I already know that I'm an alcoholic, but I didn't realize that my life, everything that was about me, because I was a soldier, I was a professional, and I was a father, and I was a husband. Everything was completely out of control. It was unmanageable, and it was in those moments that it triggered in my brain that my life is completely unmanageable. If any of you understand that, drop your comments below so somebody can get some of that. Today's daily reflection, Los Gates. Only step 1, where we made 100% admission we were powerless over alcohol, can be practiced with the absolute perfection. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 68. Long before I was able to obtain sobriety in AA, I knew without a doubt that alcohol was killing me. Yet even with this knowledge, I was unable to stop drinking. So when faced with step 1, I found it easy to admit I lacked the power not to drink. But was my life unmanageable? Never. 5 months after coming into AA, I was drinking again, and I wondered why. Later on, back in AA, and smarting from my wounds, I learned that step 1 is the only step that can be taken 100%. And that the only way to take it 100% is to take 100% of the step. That was many 24 hours ago, and I haven't had to take step 1 again. For me, that was almost 5 years ago, folks. And February 21st is actually my 5-year anniversary. So technically I'm 5 years old, which is why some of my rambling is the way it is. I could 100% of the time, always admit that I was powerless over alcohol. But it was that other little percentage that was 100% of the step, my life was unmanageable, that took me decades to figure out, folks. 2 decades, 2.5 decades almost, to be exact. Once I was able to actually see how out of control everything was, and to realize that because of my powerlessness over alcohol, now that's why everything was such a mess. And I didn't realize my finances were completely busted. I didn't realize my marriage was in shambles. I didn't realize that my son didn't want to have anything to do with me and that I was causing him emotional harm. I didn't realize any of that, and I didn't care at the time because I was an alcoholic, and I used that as an excuse. Oh, I'm an alcoholic like my father, therefore I have to drink. But the unmanageability part was the part that sealed the deal for me, because seeing it from a sober eye, and knowing that all of this wreckage is because of me, that was the wake-up call, folks. That was the wake-up call, and you might be in that wake-up call right now. So that's food for thought, folks. That's today's daily reflection. I hope that was something to chew on. Life's a garden. Dig it. If you need any help from me, hit me up. Drop me a DM on Instagram, Twitter, or Reddit. And if you haven't seen any of my other videos, go ahead, check them out. And you might be seeing one right here, all about Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you have any doubts if Alcoholics Anonymous is for you or not for you, check out that video. I'm one sober to another, and guess what? I'm going to see you in the next one. Have a good day.